This is what is happening with everything when it comes to the Quinlan, Etrovia, Lyria, Tantorum and all that stuff. Vandensteer, Elastra, Vathia, all of the story that your guys, this is it. I'm going to explain as much as I possibly can. Just bear this in mind, you know, like I'm going to be frenzied because this part happened after. I don't even remember what I said, but that all happened. I got to go back and work on other things right now. I got to work on Quinlan and his whole story. I know his story. I got to work on like Lyria and all that stuff, but just listen. Okay, so Quinlan is working with Lyria. Lyria is with Xanathos, who possibly has an alliance with Etrovia, which he doesn't want. Quinlan doesn't want that. He doesn't want Lyrians having that. They don't need to be doing that. It's not good right now, because they're working for the Serpentine and the Fachu. So Quinlan wants Lyria to ally with Hefel. Not even ally. It's during the trade war. At the trade war time, you have a lot of crazy things. Well, actually, it's right before the trade war. Things are about to go off, and he knows it. So they create a little pact right in the beginning of the trade war, possibly. I don't know. I literally just said at the end. I don't fucking know right now. But what he's going to do is this Hefel are connected to Tantorum. Now, if anything happens with the Lyrians of the Fel, he can use Tantorum as well. So here's the idea. If Lyria allies with Hefel, later on, like right now it's just a trade agreement. Hey man, let's just like give each other food and stuff. He can appeal to Xanathos's idea of we need more food and all that stuff. Crazy shit's going on. Just so happens that in Tantorum, they just elected I don't remember how to spell it. Vandensteer. Now, Quinlan himself aided the man that looked for Vandensteer. Vandensteer is the perfect individual for Tantorum, as it were right now. He comes across as one that's against the old ways. I mean, you look at the Gear Lord trial and all that stuff, he seems like a really bad guy. He's only a bad guy because he's the best thing for mankind right now. And Quinlan knows that. He needs Vandensteer in power. With Vandensteer there, it can deter a whole lot of fucking things going on. And so, with Lyria allying with the Hefel, that would piss off Etrovia. Etrovia doesn't like that. Etrovia is very pro-Anaku and very, they're xenophobes just as much as they are in Tantorum. You know, but just to the Aeon. He doesn't want Lyrians being that way. But he does see Tantorum and Lyria do not like each other. There's conflict, there's always war between these two nations. And there needs to not be. So in Quinlan's mind, he needs to create a stability. If I have Vandensteer in here, and he works with the Lyrians, maybe we can garner some peace, because there was trade war, or there was the whole, what's it called? The Valen campaign, and all that shit was going on. And so what he's got to do is he's got to stop that. But what happens? The trade war. Who gets blamed for it? Well, Tantorum blames Lyria, sets everything in motion. Then Etrovia gets involved. Then the South gets involved. This Quinlan's like, fuck, all this shit happened. So when all that shit was kicking off, he needed to make sure that there would be some sort of stalemate. We don't want to lose countries here. We don't want to lose anything. So how am I going to make that happen? For me, I just got to keep wrapping my head around this a little bit more. Like, why does Quinlan want all of this? He needs stability amongst the peoples, right? He needs stability amongst the Anaku. What he really needs is the whole prophecy thing. But he can't quite focus on that right now. He's constantly dealing with all this shit, trying to keep the powder keg from exploding. Now the trade war happens. It ends in this kind of stalemate, in a sense. Things don't necessarily go back to normal, but for the most part they kind of do. But you have something building here, internally. So outside of it, Etrovia, there's the Ebby. Now Etrovia is influenced the Ebby to influence the Serp and the Fachu, because he wants this, they want Lyria under their control. A free nation. Xanathos is too weak. We do not need any of this stuff. We need to get rid of that. Quinlan knows that's what they're trying to do. So when he's trying to set all this shit up, he needed to play the hand. The whole Hafel uniting thing was a very... It's kind of him saying, bring it on. You know, like, okay, I know you don't like us here. You're just aligning with this because you have some sort of fucking game. We're going to align with the Hafel. It's a trade agreement right now, but we can get a true alliance, which brings Tantorum into the play, which means if I can control these two nations, Tantorum and Lyria, we can put an end to the Etrovian thing, because the Etrovians are the ones that are financing the Serpentine Order, who are taking like their fucking orders from the Fachu. So we have a lot of bad things all happening at once, but then the fucking trade war happened, and it just threw everything out of its fucking plan. When it comes back down, this goes into big swing again. The Ebby, the Etrovians, and their, I don't even know what you'd call it, their priests or something like that, would try to influence the Ebby, which the Ebby would be totally for anything that's anti-Aeon. Now Quinlan's got to think even more. He's got so much happening. He is going to have to, after the trade war, because he got him in office. He influenced enough for him to get an office, but then the trade war happened. So he's starting back after the trade war. He's got Vandensteer. Well, they need a clean house, but there's a couple things going on that Vandensteer does, which is he kills Gearlor, sending Vathia, sending Vathia into this kind of exile up in the mountains. I think he knew that that was going to happen, Quinlan. So did Gearlor. Gearlor sends Vathia up there. Some sort of thing. We're going to have to make it happen. Some sort of agreement, like, you need to be here. Whether this is what we planned all along or whenever things are in trouble, bring yourself here. He's up in the mountains. Where is he getting close to? Vandensteer, he didn't need as a good guy to do good things. He needed Vandensteer to do bad things, to influence the Fallen Prince, to influence Vathia to fucking do something. When he's in exile, Vathia is up in the mountains, close to one of the biggest fucking threats, which is the Fachu. So Vandensteer pushes to destroy Fachu. He's going to push Vathia to destroy the Fachu in a roundabout way, where that's what he's doing. Vandensteer doesn't do that, but it's Quinlan that wants Vandensteer to do this. Vandensteer is this ideological idiot, and he knows he can use that to his advantage. Because the first thing that Vandensteer is going to want to do is clean house. Get rid of Gearlor, get rid of all his lackeys, get rid of Vathia and all that stuff. Quinlan was counting on all that stuff. Now that it's happening, Vathia needs to destroy the Fachu. I think the serendipitous thing would have been them getting caught up with the guys from Alistair's party and Eris and all that, I think that was all serendipitous. But the attack on Hill 464, which is in Lyrian land and guarded by Illyrians, but controlled by the Serpentine and the Fachu, this will spark exactly what needs to happen, and that's getting rid of the hive. Now, the Xanathos within side of the Lyrian hierarchy is becoming less and less powerful while the Ebby are taking over control. So the fact that the Lyrians are looked at as bad guys, well, most of them are doing orders, but not from Xanathos. They're doing orders, they're taking orders from the Ebby that are in control. And that's why then that book there, you have Hill 464 happening, to which within that are the Serpentine. Well, the Serpentine give them to the Fachu who are working in there. The Fachu are these weird mystic fucking people. They're the creepy ones. They're the weird monks and you know, the masked people and all that shit. They're the cult and stuff. So that's the Fachu. It will be that awakens Vathia's inner rage to make Vathia go to war with Lyria again. For all the right reasons. Maybe not necessarily right. But if he can control Vathia, he needs to get someone there that can control him. I think that maybe Vathia meets somebody. He has to. There's no other way around this. At least right now. Keep in mind I'm riffing all this. I don't even know. We're going to figure this out. Something to think about. Something to think about. He's playing a dangerous game, Quinlan is. It's like, how do you expect all this to go to fruition? He's a fucking genius, that's why. Because he has the writer's knowledge. I can make anything I want happen. And he just seems intelligent. Even though he's literally just meta. He's just me. Like, I already know. I'm going to make him know, though, too. How does he know what you know? Because he's thousands of years old. He doesn't age. He's from another generation. You know, like that shit. Just make it up. He needs, Quinlan's main goal is he needs to get rid of the dark influence with the Fachu and the Serpentine and all that stuff. Because, main, all the way to the top, the Fachu, the Serpentine, Atrovia, he discovered are being aided by the fallen Neniran. Now the fallen Neniran are his brethren that turned from the light. I don't know if you remember any of that lore or not, but the Neniran, the ones sent in here from the other realm and all that stuff to make right the world. Think of the wizards in Lord of the Rings, right? The Valar, I don't remember what they're called. Just that, but some fell and they are aiding the bad side. He's got to stop his brother because he knows they're too powerful. They can make anything happen. They're so meta. You know what I mean? They just know things that no one else does. So if the Fachu, the Serpentine, the Trovians all have a fallen Neniran, then that's a bad thing. That is exactly, he needs to stop that. How does he stop that? Forcing their hand. With all of this conflict here, with the Lyrian thing, and maybe he's not working for the Lyrians because he's like, I love the Lyrians, they're my favorite ones out of all of these people. That's just the one that he's got some sway with. He walks into a realm, he walks into someone's court, and he becomes part of it. For a while, he was doing stuff with Dubois back in the early to mid 1500s. Before that, he was doing other things. He's been everywhere. He's influencing all of these people and making things happen. They're the makers. You could say the king makers. But empire makers more like, really, and crushers. He has to make all of this happen to get the fallen Aeniran out of hiding. He's got to bring his fallen brothers back in the fold, whether that's killing them or turning them back to the light. The thing is, he knows they're hard to find, but he knows they're in control of these two. If he can make them, what is the word? If he can make them, what's that word? Like slip up, I guess. That's how he can get them. Then he can find himself, he can find them and inject himself into that. But that's his main threat. His purpose, his whole purpose, to stop this. That's his whole purpose. And I don't know, that's what prophecy. The prophecy, which is the forgotten king being taken out of the realm and replaced. That's what he's doing. He's got to do those two things. Now, looking at this, taking all that stuff away, if someone were to discover, like Aleister for instance, that Quinlan is working with Valyrians, just serendipitously. He doesn't seem like such a good guy. He's helping fucking Valyrians, and then the whole Tantorum thing, he might be trying to influence a conflict, but why is Van Stier like, it doesn't make sense. Kind of why I kept people in the dark so much with Kevin and Jacob so much, because I want general, honest reactions. We'd have our conversations, you would talk about stuff, and I wouldn't tell you the real thing. I would say, well, this is what's happening. So I can hear exactly what they would do. Now I know exactly what he would do. Aleistra sees him as a big bad problem. What Quinlan did not count on was the involvement of the Whisper and just the whole prophecy. Like, he thinks like, okay, like this is kind of, I hear rumblings. My other brethren, one of the other ones, knows about this Eris stuff. But guess what he discovers? All that shit going on in Adrana. His brother's taking care of that. It's his brother that I wouldn't even think he knows the prophecy's going on until, because you got to think, on the other side of the Murphos is Adrana with the Serpentine, the Valandi and all that stuff, the people from the Valens taking over, the Slop King, all that shit's going on the other side of the Murphos too. His brethren, a couple of his buddies, I don't know, maybe just one, is trying to make all that happen. He's like, this is fucked. I gotta get word back to Quinlan. No one really knows the prophecy's happening because it began in the Murphos. The only people that really know are the Serpentine. But Quinlan can't know every little detail of like, okay, so I hear they're doing this and that. Like, it's kind of like Al-Qaeda, I guess. They're not all in cahoots. It's like you're part of the order, you're doing your own job. There's the head, everyone else does their thing, but if I capture this general, he's not going to tell me what this one's doing. He can't do that, he doesn't know. So he doesn't know until it's too late about the whole king kidnapping, and then he finds out about Freydin. He's like, oh fuck, this is ridiculous and all that. I don't think he knows about Eris until he's kind of confronted by Aleistra. To which Aleistra would have been connected to Eris for a little bit after 464 and all that stuff. No, before 464, when they're, I think, yeah, when they're going from there and then they get captured and all that stuff. If I remember correctly. No, because he was, it wasn't with Eris, he was the people that was with Eris. it's only from Quinlan's conversation with Elystra that he learns about Eris, and he's like, this is happening. I'm doing all this shit. Like, I think that catches him in the world, and that's when he starts slipping up more, and that's why eventually he will be destroyed by Elystra, because his mind is preoccupied too much. Everything's falling to shit. Okay, that's the only video part I needed to record. I think I've got the fucking video on here, or the audio. It's about almost 3 hours long, so I don't even know where I began the video, but I'll send this video through the YouTube channel. Let's give it an intro. So